New York City, the city that never sleeps, the city of dreams. But for many small landlords, it's become a nightmare. They are caught in a system that seems designed to crush them. They face a perfect storm of biased courts, unfair regulations, and tenants who exploit the system. The city they helped build is turning its back on them. Small landlords are the backbone of New York City's housing market. They provide affordable housing to millions, but they are being squeezed out of existence. They are drowning in debt. They are losing their life savings, and they are being driven to the brink. This isn't just about economics. It's about people's lives. It's about the single mother who saved for years to buy a duplex. Now she is facing foreclosure because her tenant stopped paying rent. It's about the retired teacher who relies on rental income to survive. He is being dragged to court by a tenant who knows how to work the system. This is a story of David versus Goliath. But in this version, Goliath is winning, and the city we love is slowly crumbling under the weight of its own broken promises. Vani Mangal is a hardworking nurse. She is a single mother. She wanted to provide a better life for her children, so she bought a multi-family home in the Bronx. She thought it was the American dream. It quickly became a nightmare. One of her tenants stopped paying rent. Mangal tried to work with her. She offered a payment plan. The tenant refused. Mangal had no choice but to take her to housing court. What followed was a Kafkaesque ordeal. The tenant was represented by a free legal aid lawyer, paid for by the city. Mangal had to pay for her own lawyer. The legal fees piled up. The case dragged on for months. The tenant knew how to work the system. She knew how to delay the eviction. Months turned into years. Mangal was trapped. She was still responsible for paying the mortgage, property taxes, and utilities on the apartment. She was drowning in debt. Vani Mangal's story is not unique. It's a common tale in the Bronx. It's a story of how a system designed to protect tenants is being weaponized against small landlords. The problem isn't just bad tenants, it's a biased system. Housing court in New York City is supposed to be neutral. It's supposed to protect both landlords and tenants. But it doesn't. The scales of justice are tilted heavily in favor of tenants. Judges often have close ties to tenant advocacy groups. They are more likely to believe a tenant's story than a landlord's. They are more likely to rule in favor of tenants, even when the law is on the landlord's side. Landlords, especially small landlords, don't stand a chance. These judges see themselves as social justice warriors. They view landlords as greedy slumlords. They see tenants as victims. This bias infects every aspect of the housing court process. The result? Landlords are afraid to assert their rights. They are afraid to evict even the worst tenants. They know the system is rigged against them. Section 4, the moratorium's fallout, a crushing blow to landlords. The COVID-19 pandemic made a bad situation much worse. New York City implemented a moratorium on evictions. It was supposed to protect tenants who lost their jobs during the pandemic. It was a well-intentioned policy with disastrous consequences. The moratorium was a blank check for tenants. They could live rent-free for months, even if they were still employed. Landlords, meanwhile, were still responsible for paying their mortgages, property taxes, and utilities. Many were forced to dip into their savings. Others were forced to sell their properties at a loss. The moratorium has officially ended, but the damage is done. It has devastated small landlords. Many are on the brink of financial ruin. The city's housing market is still reeling from the aftershocks. The moratorium was a band-aid on a gaping wound. It did nothing to address the underlying problems in the housing court system. Instead, it exacerbated them. Section 5. Bleeding money, breaking spirits, the human cost of a broken system. The consequences of this broken system are real. Families are being torn apart. Lives are being destroyed. This isn't just about money. It's about the human cost of a system that has lost its way. Small landlords are under immense financial pressure. They are being forced to choose between paying their mortgages and putting food on the table. Many are facing bankruptcy. Others are losing their homes. The emotional toll is just as devastating. Landlords are living in a state of constant stress and anxiety. They are afraid to answer the phone, knowing it could be another problem tenant. They are losing sleep. Their health is suffering. The city has turned its back on them. They feel betrayed by the system that was supposed to protect them. They feel like they are being punished for trying to provide housing in a city that desperately needs it.